seats to face this way so it doesn't make noise while the Reverend comes up to do it.
Of course it would snow on our day. I mean, of course, a leaf warmer when it snows. We have a storm actually.
This is Brad calls for you.
Oh, she's having a field day. Oh yeah, she's laughing at us. She's young, snowing.
She's happy we're all here together. We just want her here with us.
She is.
Just not physically.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah. This ain't me soon. She's still there. Just like they were.
Yeah, when I look for like words to like talk about stuff. One of them was like pick up keep on shit.
I didn't think what a great reunion you were having on the other side. Surprised you got
If I can have your attention, please. Good afternoon, family and friends. I'm Reverend Wendy Yaboski, and it's my privilege to be here in support of the Moore, Metcalf, Witt family, and all gathered here to remember and honor the life of Joyce Marie Metcalf, known to most as Jo. And before we start, I would really like to compliment everyone that was involved in this most amazing expression of love through decorating. You've done an absolutely amazing job with everything. So now, before we actually begin, I would appreciate if you could please confirm that your cell phone is off, on silent, or vibrate so that we can keep our attention here at this meaningful time. Appreciate it very much. And thank you also to everyone that has come here this afternoon to help honor Joe and to support the family. So Joe was born on August 19th, 1955, and made her transition from this plane of life on October 27th, 2022. She was predeceased by her dad, George Jr., her mom, Joyce Marie, and also her younger brother, Ronald. And missing Joe greatly in this difficult time are her husband of 11 years, Don, and a large extended family. So as well as all gathered here physically for this time of remembering and honoring Joe, we are joined by her family in Ontario and Texas as we all take this time together to remember and honor her, who she was, what mattered to her, and the impact that she had on those in her life. So again, welcome everyone as we come together with sadness, yet with love and appreciation for a woman who, at the young age of 67, left this world due to the condition of cancer, but who lived her 67 years of life with confidence, strength, determination, and care. She showed up for her life. To remember and honor her life with us during this time together, we'll share stories of time and experiences with Joe that are meaningful to us, memories that have helped our lives be better in some way. Now, I trust that some of these memories have already been shared during the reception time, but believe me, there are more to come, and I'm so happy to share that with you. But let's begin this time together with a song from the Angel's Perspective, so appropriately chosen, Dancing in the Sky by Mandy Fisher. Let's listen together.
Here I am, looking down from heaven. It's so peaceful, it's so free, like you pray. It is warm, it's so bright, so beautiful. All my fears and my pain have gone away. 'Cause here
Such a beautiful, beautiful song. Jo had a very strong religious faith, starting in her childhood with her parents being Southern Baptist, and she attended church regularly for much of her life. It was a faith she maintained through her adulthood. She knew at that time she would be going somewhere at the end of her life and was at peace with this. So in honor of Jo's faith, let's move on in our time together with a prayer familiar to many faiths, the Christian prayer, the Lord's Prayer. Now, if you know the words and if you feel comfortable to say them aloud with me, you're welcome to do that. If you have other words or a prayer that is more meaningful to you, I also invite you to say that in the quiet of your own mind and heart. But now, if you will, I invite you to take in a breath with me and just release it and relax into this moment. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespassed against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Thank you. Dawn's sister, Becky, sent this beautiful reading to be shared on her behalf from her love for Jo. And she shared in the note that she sent with it, Jo was not only my sister-in-law, she was also my sister, my best friend. Although we are now apart, her memory will stay with me forever. And now the poem. A light went out on earth for me the day we said goodbye. And on that day, a star was born, the brightest in the sky. Reaching through the darkness with its rays of purest white, lighting up the heavens as it once lit up my life. With beams of love to heal the broken heart you left behind, where always in my memory your lovely star will shine. It's now my privilege to share with you some of what I've learned about Jo through her husband and his family. Dawn and Jo met in Texas in 2005 when Dawn was working on a 2-year construction job there. They hit it off very well and eventually lived together there. Now, when Dawn left Texas to return to Canada after his job completed, their relationship did languish for a while until Jo sought Dawn out again in 2010, after which she traveled to Vancouver to visit him and his family. After a good reconnection with each other, and with the blessing of Jo's family for the first time, they married on October 15th, 2011, and remained together to the very end of Jo's life on October 27th, 2022, with 11 years of marriage and good friendship that Dawn values very highly. Now, as some of us may know from experience, yet others can only imagine, leaving one's home country to move to another, leaving your family behind, and starting a new stage in one's life doesn't have flow immediately. But as Jennifer, Dawn's daughter, shared with me, it's not how you start, it's how you finish that counts. And it finished with great value for all, with many learnings and gifts along the way. Jo was truly a woman very comfortable and confident in her own skin. I learned from her granddaughters that Jo was a big entity. She had a strong personality, voice, and presence. As Chase, the youngest granddaughter, shared with me, Jo wasn't one to shy away from herself, not one to back down from anything she needed and wanted to do or say. She was not a meek soul, most definitely voicing her opinions and taking care of things in her own way. In fact, at times, she could be resistant and stubborn. She could dig in her heels. When her mind was made up, there was no changing it. But she also knew what she wanted and went for it, whatever it was. And this was something she wanted for her granddaughters. Also, the confidence to be themselves in life. In fact, she taught them, to her greatest example and ability, to be themselves and to be treated well. She taught them not to shy away from who they are and not to feel they owed anyone anything. She never tried to make them into who she was, but more of who they are. Jo's focus in living her life was not on what others thought of her, but on what she wanted and what was right for her. And this was also true in various areas of her life, including home decorating. Before she got sick and couldn't do so any longer, Jo was always moving things around in their home, knowing the changes she wanted and making them happen with everything in its right place. Now, Jo was sociable, making many friends when she moved to Canada with Don. In fact, she made more friends than he had made in his years living there. Even the fellow living above them in the apartment they lived in, who didn't talk to anyone, began talking with Jo. Indeed, her Texas twang intrigued others too. Growing up just outside of Houston, Texas, in her family home with all brothers, and her mom being a working mom outside the home, Jo learned at a young age to take care of the family home. And this is where she learned to cook and take care of a home. And perhaps also a carryover from Texas. When she was taking care of her and Dawn's home, she made big meals that had lots of leftovers, which the grandchildren got to enjoy. And also, she taught them how to make Texas cornbread and other Texas treats. She took pride in her domestic know-how, and she came to love hosting dinners and get-togethers with Dawn. Now, I'm not sure how many of you know, I would imagine a few, know that Jo was a great cook, bringing her Texas heritage to various family meals. Foods such as biscuits and gravy, not our kind of gravy, but white Texas gravy made with bacon grease. Yum, I understand. And yum also were her chicken and dumplings. Her baking was also super enjoyed. Texas cornbread with jalapenos, warm out of the oven with butter. Yum. And let's see, her pecan pie, snickerdoodles, banana pudding, and brownies, just to name a few sweet treats. I understand you could always find Jo in the kitchen. Without a doubt, her cooking and baking are greatly missed, but not even close to her presence, her company, and her friendship. Jo was proud of her Texas heritage and was proud of what she could bring of her Texas life to Canada. It was something new and different she could offer of her own, something here that she had to share with her new family and friends. And when Jo wasn't in the kitchen, she loved going out to lunch with friends. And while they went to restaurants together for sure, a favorite gathering place of Jo's was their home patio. As well as with company, she also loved time on their patio alone. With her love of gardening, she filled the home and patio with flowers flowering houseplants, hanging baskets with flowers, and potted flower plants. She really loved flowers. And after one of Jo's multiple hospital visits, her family gifted her with a terrific patio makeover to return home to, which she absolutely loved. Something else she loved was the Texas star that went onto her patio gate. Her Texas pride remained alive and well in her, including her Texas wall, put up in her and Don's home together with various important mementos of her earlier life and homeland. Now, something not on her wall, but Texan nevertheless, was her regularly saying, "y'all." She'd always say she was fixin' to do something or to go somewhere, and would often ask, "Can I fix you something to eat?" Now, another part of Texas that Jo brought with her was the love of Texas sports teams. With all brothers, as I mentioned, as siblings, Texan sports team games became a regular television watching activity, and I believe football and baseball especially. Now, after moving to Canada, she did come to appreciate some Canadian sports teams too, but honestly, it was when the Texas teams didn't win that the game results were most disappointing for her. And when she watched these games, if you've ever watched them with her, she was very engaged and animated, physically and verbally. Another sports activity that Jo and Don enjoyed together was NASCAR races. Every Sunday afternoon, they would watch the races together. And a special moment for them was going to a NASCAR live race together at the Texas Motor Speedway when she and Don were in Texas. Now, something that Jo was not fond of was traveling, which says a lot for her willingness and desire to travel from Houston to Vancouver to visit Don. She had never ventured away from her home area. But after moving to Canada, wouldn't you know, a couple of travel opportunities became an option. So the first one was in 2018, a vacation trip to Puerto Rico, Mexico, as a family. Now, let's just say Jo was much better with the whole adventure and enjoyed it more once she finally arrived at the destination. She loved the beach, that's true, but felt most comfortable inside the gated resort. They did, however, get out on one enjoyable excursion. The second trip, pre-COVID, and the last trip they took was in 2019 to Jamaica. This one also was with family, but with Don's stepbrother James and his wife Val. Jo and Val were very close, including when Jo got sick. Val fully supported her in her care. Jo loved being the one at home, taking very good care of Don. In fact, she was proud of the home she kept for their life together. The house was clean and well kept and was a source of personal pride for her. In keeping the house, Jo did have strict rules where things needed to go and how things needed to be done, but later she softened in these rules. She did, however, value order. In another part of her family life with Don, Jo liked to be involved in what was going on in the lives of her new family, but was always respectful of their needs and wishes too. If she was asked for her help or opinion, she gave it. I understand from her granddaughters that Jo was the best advice giver. She would ask questions, listen, and respond with, "This is what I hear from you, and this is what I think." And she would tell them what she truthfully thought, not being pushy with it. Because Jo's involvement with family and others was very important to her, she would remember what you told her. As well, it was important to her that everyone was okay. Now, winter was Jo's favorite season, and Christmas was her favorite holiday. This meant many Hallmark Christmas movies, including Hallmark Christmas in July movies. Decorating for Christmas was something that Jo loved. It took her 2 weeks to fully decorate the home. That's how important it was to her to look and feel right. If there was a space anywhere for something Christmas, something got put into it, as long as it looked right to her. And she loved hosting Christmas too. When she was no longer able to do the Christmas decorating herself, she most definitely was the Christmas decorating supervisor. Lights, ornaments, everything. As I mentioned, order was very important to Jo. The legacy that I can speak to that Jo leaves her Canadian family is her modeling and teaching of being a good person, teaching her grandchildren the life skills of cooking, baking, and keeping a home, and to develop a healthy relationship with each other. Jo was a best friend to Dawn, a priceless, eternal gift, with Dawn's memories of never going to bed mad at each other, nor leaving the house mad at each other. And what Jo was most proud of in her life was coming to Canada, becoming Dawn's wife and Nana to Dawn's grandchildren, and creating a family together. Toward the end of Jo's life, she made one request of this family, that they take care of each other, their dad, their papa, and to not take anything in life for granted. As I alluded to earlier in our time together this afternoon, Jo was a strong personality. In fact, right up to the absolute very end of her life. She passionately wanted to be at home when she died with the people she loved. And though hospice was the best support for her, she did not want to go. She left Dawn and family the morning of the day she was to be admitted into hospice. So she died at home, where she wanted to be, with respect and dignity, peacefully in her faith. On behalf of Dawn at this point, I thank both the BC Cancer Clinic in Surrey and the Fraser Health Tri-Cities Home Care for the continued wonderful care that they provided Jo as she was going through her cancer experiences. Their care was absolutely fantastic. The one thing Jo wasn't able to find living in Coquitlam was a bricks and mortar spiritual home she could lean into. However, her core Christian faith held and maintained her, helping her deal with any feelings of sadness and aloneness that came up for her before and throughout her cancer experience. Jo believed in God, heaven, life after death, and in karma. And she was welcomed to share the Bible with her granddaughter Morgan on some occasions. Jo was very comfortable in her Christian roots, as it always gave her comfort and support. In terms of her health condition worsening over the past 2 or so years, she came to the resolution that when God says it's my time, it'll be my time, and that will be okay. Now, we're going to be sharing a bit more from others about Jo, which is absolutely wonderful. So first, in-laws of Joe's, Ron and Sharon, sent this beautiful reading along to be shared on their behalf in remembering Joe. It's a powerful message to take in and is titled, "Don't Cry for Me." And it says, "Don't cry for me, I will be okay." Sorry. It's catching me. Heaven is my home, and this is where I'll stay. Don't cry for me. I'm where I belong. I want you to be happy and try to stay strong. Don't cry for me. It was just my time, but I will see you someday on the other side. Don't cry for me. I am not alone. The angels are with me to welcome me home. Don't cry for me, for I have no fear. All my pain is gone, and Jesus took my tears. Don't cry for me. This is not the end. I'll be waiting here for you when we meet again. And they added, Joe, you will be missed, but we know that you are no longer in pain. Love, Ron and Sharon. And now for sharing live. It's my happiness to invite forward Jennifer to share with us. Jennifer, are you as ready as you'll ever be? You can do this.
So I came up, thank you. So I came up to speak on behalf of my dad and our family. I'm sure he would like to share stories, but he's opted out of that for this moment in time, so you get me instead. So on behalf of my dad, our family, and myself, we would like to thank everyone that was able to come and join us this afternoon, as well as the people that are joining us virtually in Ontario and Texas. Now, I'm sure if my dad had taken the opportunity to come up here to speak, he might talk about such things as the trips we did take and the Christmases we did have together, and some of Joe's quirks that we all grew to love. On one occasion, Joe was actually home in Texas visiting, and we, the family here, were over at Dad and Joe's for dinner, and we had washed the dishes and put the silverware away, and we had lost a spoon. And you wouldn't think this is a big deal, but Joe would have noticed when she got home. So like a 20-minute search ensued for this spoon because we didn't want her to think that we had lost her silverware. And it was in the drawer, just in the wrong compartment in the utensil holder. So even though it was kind of quirky to us, it was important to her, and we respected that. Or my dad might tell you about the time that she would get after my dogs who are living with them currently, about being near the table while they were eating, and then a few weeks later you look over and Joe is feeding them off of her fork. So yeah, she changed her mind about that. Or when we did go to Mexico and it was a fight to get her there, but once we got there, she loved it until we mentioned leaving the resort. And then she didn't love it again. But we did convince her, and she did leave the resort, and we did have a great time. So my dad might share stories like these with you, but I think the most important thing he'd want everyone to know is how much he loved Joe and how much Joe loved him.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. It's a tough thing to do, so thank you so much for coming up and speaking on your dad's behalf. Thank you. And now her grandchildren. So we have Morgan and we have Chase, and I'm going to invite Morgan up to share first. You can do it. It's in the family.
I was hoping so. So I was going to come up here and read a poem, but I don't think that does justice. Only for Nana would it snow on the one day we come together. Just to remind us that she's here to look out for us and be with us, even though she's not here. She is forever with us in heart and spirit and mind, and she will continue to look out for us wherever she ends up. And she is happier and safer and healthier where she is gone. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Morgan. And now Chase.
Okay, hi, I'm Chasey. I'm one of the bajillion granddaughters. First of all, I want to offer my deepest condolences to anyone experiencing loss. It's a very tragic thing. And I was lucky enough to go 18 years of my life without really, truly experiencing it, and it is horrible. So like Wendy spoke on, my Nana, Jo, had a very prominent personality. When you walked into the room, she was the first presence you noticed because she held such a strong one. And this came out in a lot of unique ways, but she was such a special person. And in my opinion, one of the hardest parts of losing someone is getting used to not having that presence there anymore. You go from having a lifetime, or 11 years, or 18, or however long you knew someone, and getting used to that presence and experiencing it every time you're around them or not around them, and then it's taken away one day. And that's something you can't prepare for. But, it just shows how important she was to so many of us. And I'm really sorry to whoever's really feeling that loss right now. Because it's hard to get used to not being able to go watch Hallmark Christmas movies for 6 hours a day in bed with her and the dogs, or not being able to have one last gossip session, or not having her be nosy in your dating life. You go from having those things to not having it anymore with that person, and it's really hard. But we did have lots of Hallmark Christmas movie days, and we did have lots of gossip sessions, and I did get a lot of unasked for opinions. And I love her a lot, and so many of you guys do as well, and I'm so sorry we're all here together on such tragic terms. But I'm glad that so many people came to show their love for her because she had so much love to give. And I'm sorry if any of you guys are feeling like that love isn't there anymore, but I promise you it is. It's there, and it's coming from all of us and from her and whatever you believe in. So, yeah, thank you guys all for coming, and I'm so sorry we're experiencing this together.
Sorry. Thank you so much, Chasey. You know, everyone that shares brings their own unique flavor, and I just want to thank you for actually, in a way, reminding everyone of what Joe asked you and Morgan and Jennifer, and that was to not take anything for granted. Not only were you very real, as were you, Morgan, in what you shared, but you have an inner teacher there, girl, and you're going to be okay. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, so as we continue sharing our memories and tributes of Joe, a cousin of Dawn's, Lynn, has a poem to share with us. So in tribute of Joe, Lynn, are you ready to come forward? You got your own flavor.
Just a little poem for Joe. Do not stand by my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the gently falling snow. I am the gentle showers of rain. I am in the fields of ripening grain. I am in the morning rush. I am in the graceful hush of beautiful birds in circling flight. I am the starshine of the night. I am in the flowers that bloom. I am in every quiet room. I am the birds that sing. I'm in each lovely thing. Do not stand by my grave bereft. I am not there. I have not left. We love you, Joe.
Thank you so much, Lynn. That was perfect, perfect. And now I have some messages to share with you from friends and family of Joe's. The first one is from Joe's lifelong friend from Texas, Sue. And she said, she was one of my best friends. We've known each other since 1976. We worked together for 10 years. I was at her wedding to Wayne, the birth of Matt, and years later, her divorce from Wayne. We vacationed together with our kids or sometimes with just our adult friends. She was a wonderful friend and would do anything for me or my family. I could always count on her for anything. Through our lives, we cried, laughed, got mad at each other, but no matter what, our friendship stayed firm. And when Dawn and her married and she moved to Canada, it was bittersweet for me. Very happy for her because she was so happy with Dawn. But moving and not getting to see her anytime was sad. So I did look forward to her coming home to Texas. My family will continue to pray for Don and his loss of her. Her not being here will leave a big hole in our hearts. I love her, and she will be greatly missed for the rest of my life till I see her again in heaven. It gives me peace to know she gets to see her dad and mom and all her loved ones. Thanks, Dawn, for keeping us informed about everything. And now some thoughts from Joe's stepson in Texas, Clay. He said something to be shared about his relationship with Joe. And he said it takes a special kind of person to be able to tolerate someone or something that's not theirs. Joyce is not my biological mother, but if anyone would ever ask me, I always said that's my mom. She never once in her life ever treated me like I wasn't her own. And believe me, there were numerous times she should have disowned me, LOL. I love Joyce like she's my own mother because she is, and she always will be. Love always, Mom. And now I have a reading sent to us from Pat, actually a 60-year relationship that she had with Joe, and this is what she had to say. Very few people are as lucky as I was to have a friend like Joe. We were more than friends, we were sisters at heart. The memories will last me a lifetime, over 60 years of memories. Horseback riding, riding to school together every day, Dr. Peppers and cupcakes for breakfast, secrets, heartbreaks, celebrations of graduations and weddings, Sunday morning church, and the trouble we would get into would actually amaze you. The looks we got from my grandmother and Mrs. Witt would really scare the devil out of us, which really did not last long. We would be right back giggling and laughing. Me being at her house or her being at mine, we were always together. Your family always made me feel like part of the family, and mine loved you just as much. And yes, life took us on different paths, but we always found our way back to each other. Joe will always be Joyce to me, and I would always call her Joycey. When Joe finally found her soulmate and love in Dawn, I was so happy. She deserved happiness and finally found it. My heart breaks for Dawn because I know the grief and sadness he is feeling. They say the more you grieve, the more you loved. But time and the memories and the ongoing love for Joe will get him through this. I can only imagine the heavenly homecoming of Joe when she was able to see her mother and father and Ronnie, her brother, again, and all the people she loved. One day, we will all see her again. Goodbye, my friend. See you in heaven. Love always, Pat. Now, I know that a fair bit has been shared here, and I want to offer anyone the opportunity, if there's something that you would like to say today about knowing Joe. Is there anyone that wants to come forward? Okay. Thank you, Gemma.
Hi, everyone. Whew. Wrote a little something here. So Joe will always be my buddy with a great heart and really positive energy. She always brought that to the table. I'd just like to do a little short share of one of our adventures together. Hello. So it was her 60th birthday, and I was driving to her place to scoop her up to take her to Bowen Island. And it's a great trip if you haven't been. It's a beautiful day to spend a day. And anyway, so we headed there for lunch and stuff. But on the way, I was in the car, and I heard a radio announcement. It said, free zip lining at Queen Elizabeth Park. And I thought, wow, what a great way to bring in a 60th birthday. So I think I'll run it by her. So I just thought, you know, yeah, because my driving isn't thrill enough for her. You know, she loved my driving, right? Anyway, yeah, so after a bit of trepidation, she thought about it. She's not a stupid lady. She said, okay, what's involved? And then she said, yes, she would like to bring her birthday in that way. So I was pretty happy about that. She took it like a pro, too. She climbed the stairs and got all harnessed up and then did the zip across, did a couple 360-degree spins, landed in the guy's arms, and then no cheating, no. No, anyway, he saved her life. Anyway, so she, then we just continued on her day to Bone Island and had a great day. It was a beautiful day, her birthday, ferry ride. She's in the summer, of course, summer, August, beautiful day. And nice beach walk and great lunch. And then back on the ferry, and we had another 3 hours of bonding together waiting in traffic. That was great. So we had a day trip that started with a zip. That's what I said. So all of us here have our own unique personal relationship with Jo, and it's special, just like her. The last few years of her life were really hard physically on her. Mentally, she had so much strength, though. She had confidence, and her faith in God was really strong. And the reason why I think that she lived past her doctor-given expiry date was because she had another condition called FOMO, fear of missing out. She really knew she didn't ever want to miss anybody that was here. Dawn, for one, her grandkids and her kids. But her grandkids, yeah, she was so proud of them. She always showed pictures, and the ones in Texas, the little ones, she loved them. Yep. Anyway, we're all very lucky, I think, to have encountered an angel in her. And I know she's with us now, celebrating her life. And I'm sending love, hugs, and prayers to her and her whole family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gemma. All right. So, as we've heard, truly, so many things are missed about Jo, for she gave so much to so many. And I believe that as much as she is in your hearts, that you are even now in hers, and that she values her precious family and friends. I further believe that relationships are eternal because they're part of our spirit and who we essentially are. So let us here and now just take a moment in our own minds and hearts to thank Jo for being a part of your lives, for all that she contributed with her hands, her heart, her spirit, and her life, for all she contributed that has made your life greater in some way. It is my prayer that from this time forward, we may never think of Jo as limited by time or form, but always as a living, eternal soul, continuing on the pathway of life, ever in the wise and loving care of the higher power. May the source of peace send peace and comfort to Jo on her journey and to all who are bereaved. So as we move toward the close of this portion of our time together, I have a poem that I believe speaks to what Jo would want to say to you, her family and friends, to support you in and beyond this difficult time. It's titled Afterglow. And it says, I'd like the memory of me to be a happy one, I'd like to leave an afterglow of smiles when life is done. I'd like to leave an echo whispering softly down the ways of happy times and laughing times and bright and sunny days. And I'd like the tears of those who grieve to dry before the sun of happy memories that I leave when my life is done. And now our closing song, sung by Eric Clapton, Tears in Heaven, which speaks to what all who love Joe are experiencing in each of your own timing and ways, and the remembering of not only sadness in the loss of Joe, but even more so, the love in the knowing of her. So let's sit back, relax, and listen together. So this concludes the formal portion of our time together in honoring and remembering Joe. A slideshow will be shown now, and you are welcome to continue sharing your stories and memories with the family and with each other. Again, thank you everyone for being here in honor of Joe and in support of the family. I wish you each wellness and safe journeys wherever you go and wherever you are. Blessings, everyone.